Hey guys, so today we're going to be breaking down the new content for the first week of November here. We have a pretty decent week. We have the free-to-play Goten, we have the ZENKAI for Purple VB, we have the unique equipment for LF Kid Goku, and then we have some other equips also dropping. I think we'll just start with Goten, and we'll go from here. He is a purple melee type. Okay. Stats are actually not horrible. For a free character, these actually aren't really that bad. He's got, like, mid to high 250 strike. Blast is bad, and that's whatever. Defenses are solid. 180 to strike defense is pretty good. Mid 175 blast defense. Actually, for a free character, I can't really complain about these stats. Has 2 strikes. Let's go strike normal, blast normal, super Goten attack on the blue. This has no blast armor. Is that what I'm seeing with this? No blast armor, huh? no blast armor on the blue in 2025. Almost 2026. On activation, sub count -2 to allies. Also, when special move arts is enhanced, special move damage plus 30%. All enemy sub counts plus 3. Okay, so we could lock in on this depending on if this is enhanced or not, which we don't know the condition for yet. On hit, ally special move damage plus 20%. Okay. The green card does have blast armor. Whoa! That's pretty crazy. They gave a free character blast armor on a green. Wow. That's, well, this guy might be the best unit in the game. On activation, key plus 50, damage plus 30%, uncancelable. Okay, that's a permanent buff. On hit, cancel attribute downgrades, normal conditions, enemy damage received plus 20%. Also, when special arts is enhanced, draws a blue card next. Once. Draws 1 card if hand is 3 or fewer. Next activated special move damage plus 30%, which is uncancelable, and then it combos. So they want you to use this into the blue. That's why they didn't give the blue blast armor, because they want you to use this and then just chain it in with the blue. Okay. I don't know if I agree with that. Main ability. Draws a blue card next, which doesn't have blast armor. Health plus 20%, key plus 50, damage plus 30%, nullify special cover changes for 3 counts. Cancel attribute downgrades and normal conditions. All right. Z ability. Sun Family event exclusive hybrid Saiyan strike attack defense. Starter abilities 230% damage, 30% to strike damage, 155% damage guard. Key recovery plus 50%, draw speed plus 1. Okay, we can't like support here or anything. On battlefield entry, draws 1 card if hand has 3 or fewer, key plus 50. Okay, that's solid. Based on strike / blast arts uses. 3% health, strike damage plus 20%. 3 counts of cover. Okay, that's good. Cover null on the first time you use a strike or a blast on entry is decent. It is only 3 counts, which... it's like 2 cards. You swap in with this guy in the middle of a combo, you could use 2 cards and then the cover null falls off, right? Third, draws a special arts next. Damage plus 30%, enhances special moves / special arts. Could you get 3 hits in before the 3 counts of cover null runs out? So clearly the way they want you to use this guy is in the middle of a combo, you enter the battlefield, you spam like 3 strike cards, you draw a green, you use the green, you draw blue off of it, and you chain the blue in. But the problem is this only happens once, because you only draw a blue off of the green once. I mean, that's... yeah. And that's when you enhance the special move / special arts, huh? When hit by enemy arts once, ally sub count -2, enemy key -30. When defeated, ally health plus 20%, and then Sun Family or Hybrid Saiyan damage plus 30% uncancelable. Cancel enemy attribute upgrades buff X. Yeah, he's terrible. Horrible. All right, nothing new there. Let's check out Purple VB ZENKAI. All right, let's see. What do we... This is a pretty old character, so I'm not even going to bother looking at the old kit. Um, I mean, not good. Not the greatest stats. The defenses actually are not bad. I would say high 180s is not bad. He's actually got above 190 to blast defense if we're discounting the arts boost stats. I guess it could be worse. Could be worse. Offenses are not very good. I guess the one good thing about this, though, is that he does have pretty close offenses. So you can kind of make this guy... you could put him on a strike team if you really wanted to. He does hold 2 blast cards, though, so... yeah, this is the same. He reduces special move cost when he uses blasts. Or I guess when he lands blast cards. Blue card is the final Kamehameha, massive damage. Activation, damage guard penetration plus 40%. On hit, key plus 50. And then cannot be canceled by most other special moves. Yeah, that's like such a relic of the old legends. Is cannot be canceled by most special. That's like the Pod Frieza blue card, the Final Form Cooler Supernova. Like that's what that is. I think LFVB had this too, the blue one. 40% damage guard penetration is pretty nice though. The green card is the God Smasher. On activation, key plus 50, draw speed plus 1, prevent all enemies switching for 5 counts. Yeah, this does lock in when you use this, which could be useful. On hit, draws a blue card next twice. Cancels attribute upgrades, destroys all enemy special arts, and enemy Dragon Balls plus 1. Yeah, enemy Dragon Balls plus 1. Enemy Dragon Balls minus 1. I believe this was not chainable prior to his ZENKAI, right? Yeah, you couldn't chain this in, actually. Or no, it's the green. Yeah, you couldn't chain the green into the blue, but I guess they made it chainable now to the blue, which is nice. Obviously, people would have wanted this to be chainable into just everything, but at least making it chainable into the blue, I think, is pretty good. You know what you could do with this, actually? Did this always draw a blue card? No. Okay, you know what you could do with this, actually? On activation, you lock the opponent in, and then when you land the green, you destroy one of their Dragon Balls. So I think what you do here is you intentionally just drop combo the blue after this. And if they vanish, you just rush. Because they're locked in, and they can't rush you back because they don't have a Dragon Ball. And you destroy their green cards, so they can't like melee green card you before your rush goes off. Yeah, I think that's the play here. Land the green, drop combo blue, and then you rush them. I think that is what we're doing with that. The ultimate is the final Kamehameha, massive damage. On activation, key plus 50, vanish engage plus 100%. That's the same, I believe. Draw speed plus 1, damage guard penetration plus 50%. Blast armor when charging forward. Okay. Main ability, draws the ultimate, health plus 25%, key plus 50, ultimate damage plus 50%, cancels attribute downgrades from conditions. Yeah, pretty basic main. Fusion Warrior God here feature. I am expecting Fusion Warrior purple. Yeah. This makes sense to me because I'm expecting this character's ZENKAI Awakening to signify a Fusion Warrior buff or a Fusion Warrior character coming to during part 1 of Festival. So the fact that we now have confirmation that this guy's buffing Fusion Warriors with the ZENKAI ability, that's even further evidence to support that. So the fact that he's buffing Fusion Warrior on this is pretty important, I think, actually. All right, damage plus 200%, blast damage against enemy armor plus 100%. Okay, damage guard 130%, key recovery 120. Wow. Okay, so no card draw speed. 120% key recovery is pretty interesting. On return to standby for Fusion Warrior, God Key, or future allies, health plus 10%, damage plus 20%, key recovery plus 20%. Yeah, I don't think he ever used to do the healing. I don't know why we're all of a sudden limiting the healing, though. Dude, this is a comment I made when we saw the 40th anniversary character kits as well. When we saw the green Goku and the red Gohan. Every single team has insane healing in the game right now. Androids heals insanely. Powerful opponent heals ridiculous amounts. Now we have the DB team healing crazily. The Frieza Saga team with Krillin is just constantly healing. GT is constantly healing. Why are we all of a sudden limiting this? If you're gonna give all these teams this ridiculous amount of healing, like I don't know. I do think that we need to stop doing this though, where like every team just has constant limitless amounts of healing. So from that angle, you could look at this and say like, okay, they're trying to tone it back a little bit, but it just feels weird that, you know, we're in this meta right now where every single team just has like insane amounts of healing and now we're just like limiting this. I'd rather this guy just not have this at all, actually. Like if we're going to give it to him, just give it to him. And if we're not, if you want to just limit it at all, like just don't give it to him at all. That's what I would say about this. But yeah, the support is nice. More key recovery. By the way, this is a situation where this guy can benefit from his own support because it's 20 counts for all this stuff. So the key recovery, he could have 140% key recovery here, which is really good. Battlefield entry. Draws 1 card of hand history or fewer. Key plus 30. Next activated blast arts damage plus 70%. Yeah, I believe this guy already had that. I remember when this guy dropped his first blast would always do a lot of damage. This is definitely something that matters a lot. This is something that I think makes Red Zenkai Final Form Cooler feel a lot stronger than he actually is. That first strike card will do like way more damage than the next 2 strikes. And people will be like, oh my god, Cooler, I can't believe you couldn't kill there. It looked like he was going to kill. And the reason why it looked like he was going to kill is because that first strike just does like double the amount of damage of the other strikes, because the first strike does more strike arts damage. So that's what this effect is. So the first blast this guy does is probably going to do a lot of damage. On strike, such blast arts use key plus 5. Next activated special move damage plus 20% up to 60%. That's pretty good. Nullify special cover changes for 5 counts once. Okay, that's really good. Yeah, so he gets cover null easily on entry, which he needs. After 20 timer counts have elapsed from battle start, damage plus 40%, damage guard plus 35%. So that brings him up to 165% damage guard and 240% damage there. Okay. When on standby, overdrive mode is activated. Sub counts -5. Wow, that's pretty good. Yeah, so their build. This is something I like that they're doing with this character, and I've seen a lot of people say they don't like this, but I think this is stuff they need to start doing more of. We had this, app overhaul during the 7th anniversary. Dynamic area battle system, the overcharge system, the overdrive system, the charge attack system. All these different mechanics were implemented into the game for the biggest battle system change we'd ever seen. The problem with the change is we never saw any implementation of ways that new characters could interact with those new abilities with their mechanics that they had in their kits. This is really the first time we're seeing this. This is probably something that should have been attached to the Saiyan Saga characters for the 7th anniversary in Part 2, right? The 7th anniversary Part 2 Saiyan Saga characters dropped with the battle system change, and there was nothing in those characters' kits that really capitalized, or I guess tried to at least highlight the differences that were born from those changes. So this is good. I do think this is interesting. So he reduces his own sub count by 5. When, let's just say, for example, you get into overdrive mode with a character that you're using on the team with this guy, him being on standby lowers his own sub count by 5 when that happens, which is really good. While in overdrive mode, damage plus 60%, draw speed. Okay, there's draw speed. Protect hand, nullify attribute downgrades and normal conditions. That's really good. Yeah, so he's not going to be affected by cost increase, debuffs. No paralysis, no fainting. On overdrive attack activation, 15% health, 70% damage. Oh, he locks in on overdrive mode. Or overdrive attack. Huh. I mean, he's got a lot of damage here, right? 200. You're most likely going to have this up because he's lowering his own sub count to come back in fast. So I'm just going to say 200, 220, 260, 320, 390% damage when you use an overdrive attack. Plus he's got Zenkai stats, which, could have been higher stats here, but Okay. All right. Oh, and then he's stacking damage. On strike, such blast darts hit. Draws 1 card if hand has 3 or fewer. Damage plus 20%. Yeah, he's just stacking that. When hit by enemies' arts once, destroys 1 enemy card, enemy key minus 30, enemy key recovery minus 50%. One thing to note as well is the fact that he has so much key recovery, 120 here plus another 20% here, means it's going to be a lot easier for him to get into overdrive mode. Right? Starting out at 100 key when you start charging, there's 2 different types of charging in the game. There's the overcharging and there's normal charging. You can't... When you start the charge animation, if you are at 100 key when you start the charge animation, it instantly puts you into overcharge. The overcharge animation begins instantaneously. But if you're not at 100 key when you start the charging animation, it takes about a second or so before the normal charge becomes an overcharge. So you almost always want to start overcharging while you're already at 100 key. So the fact that this guy has so much key recovery means it's going to be a lot easier for him to get to 100 key more frequently, and so it's going to be easier for him to actually initiate the overcharge to get into overdrive mode. I actually do like this guy's kit a lot. I think he's pretty interesting. The only problem I could see is this guy doesn't really have a lot of defensive abilities, right? He's got 130% damage guard and starter ability, which is terrible. That is really bad. But then after 20 counts, he's got 35, so he's got 165 on top of these defensive stats, I guess isn't like really horrible, but... And he's got this at the end. 1 card destroyed, minus 30 key. I definitely am a bit concerned about his defensive abilities, but I like the support he's giving. I like this subcount manipulation with the overdrive mode. You can do the thing I mentioned with the green card, where you drop combo the blue and just rush. You could also just drop combo the blue and overdrive, or you could just... If you have overdrive up, you don't even need to do that. You could just straight up use the green into an overdrive too. Damage guard penetration on the blue, damage guard penetration on the ult. Gets his vanish back on the ult. Seems like an interesting 1% Zenkai, actually. I do think out of all the 1% Zenkais we've gotten recently, this guy definitely looks a bit more promising than normal, but I do want to test him before I say anything, because it's possible he could just be bad, I guess. But he's got cover null. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I think him being a Vegito blue and kind of being the precursor to Legends Fest, I would like to have a little bit of hope here. So we'll see. We'll see how he feels to use. All right, so that's that. We should have quite a few equips dropping today. Everything in the possible land of events. Every single event possible is resetting today, basically. Okay, so this should be the PvP equip, I believe. Sun Family. 20% strike defense, 12% health, 15% blast defense, 10% to strike and blast defense pure. If they're DB. Yeah, I mean, this is just really defensive god equip. Probably not good enough to make the cut on DB. Like, it's crazy. Whenever we get a new equip for DB, it has to be like a top 5 equip in the game or something to make the cut. Because the DB equip roster is just so crazy. It's just insane. Good equip, though. Okay, here's the new co-op equip. Sun Family and DB. So, Kid Goku, the new 40th anniversary units. Special move damage 12%, base blast attack 15%. If there's a character Gohan battle member, 15% to pure blast attack. 15% to base strike attack, and then if there's a character Goku, 15% to pure strike attack. I mean, sure. Again, we're in this weird position where if you are a DB character, do you have the room to use this over other equips? Maybe it barely makes it. 15% base and pure offenses, and then 12% special move damage. If slot 1 was HPA, maybe we'd be talking, but it's good. But I don't know if I'd use this over other good equips. All right. There's the Kid Goku equip. We'll get to that in a second. Just want to check the Awakened equip. Oh, it's a Cell Saga. It's a Cell Saga equip. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because that Gohan is from the Cell Saga, right? It's Gohan and Piccolo. Sun Family and DB. Strike defense 30%, 20% strike and blast attack base, and then 10% to own pure blast defense per Sun Family or tag Hybrid Saiyan battle member. So you're getting 30% to pure blast defense. 30% to pure blast defense, 30% to base strike defense, and 20% to base offenses. Yeah, obviously this is a stat monster equip right here. This is pretty good. This reminds me of this actually, the Cell one, which is also pretty good. 30% to pure blast defense is very good. The problem with that right now is it doesn't feel like a lot of these teams that we're fighting are blast heavy. The only team that's like super blast heavy right now is GT. I guess pure androids is also blast based. I mean, 13 is not, but Cell is and the Gambas are. Full power Frieza is blast based, but he's not, like, you're not running him on a blast team most of the time. There's a few characters that are blast centric, but most of the meta right now, the red Zamasu, the purple Zamasu, Namek Goku, a lot of the other characters too, mostly are strike characters. So this could be good, but I don't know if now is like the best meta for this one. But yeah, this is solid. This is a good equip. It's defensive mostly, but it's got some decent offenses as well. Pretty good. All right, so Kid Goku's unique equipment. I mentioned this in some videos prior, but here are the 3 things I'd like to see on this. Number 1, he needs some kind of subcount manipulation. He does have subcount manipulation on his blue card. If he lands his blue, he lowers his own subcount by 5 counts. That's just not consistent or good enough to carry a character with a second life mechanic. It doesn't work. So he's got to have subcount manipulation somewhere. The second thing is I'd like for him to at least have some defensive type neutral so that he doesn't get absolutely massacred by Red Zamasu. Something to mention is the other characters that you want to run with this character, so the 40th anniversary Gohan and Goku, don't have any direct big move subcount manipulation in their kits. So it's, yeah, like Goku just gets like you swap into this Goku, he gets assaulted by Red Zamasu and you can't swap. So at least him having type neutral defensively would be helpful, so they can at least tank a few hits from him. The last thing is I'd like to see some unique gauge charge rate or some way to fill up his unique gauge faster prior to his indestructible getting procced, because right now it takes so long to get his unique gauge up before his indestructible gets activated. Because remember, when his indestructible activates, he then resets his unique gauge and you can fill it up again. And then after his unique gauge resets that first time, it's a lot easier to fill it up because he gets 100% unique gauge charge rate. But it really is that first initial time where you're filling it up that's really, really difficult. One wild card guess that I have for this is if they really wanted to go all in on like the last man standing thing, they could do that, but it would need to be like a Daima Super Saiyan 4 Goku level last man standing ability where you are locking the opponent in, you're removing their vanish, and like maybe you're even paralyzing them or something. Like it has to be insane. If they're gonna go all in on that, they could do that, but I don't know. All right, let's see what we're working with here. By the way, one thing I also will mention is we don't know what tier these DB characters are going to be in. They said that they're going to put these guys in certain PvP boost tiers this season, but we don't actually know which those tiers are going to be. So for all we know, this Kid Goku could be an S tier. I highly doubt it, but probably going to be featured, I would imagine, this Kid Goku, which would mean he's getting an extra 10% damage guard, 20% damage. But we could see things like Tambourine and like A tier and stuff like that, so we'll see. Okay. 20% health. Okay, already off to a better start than I thought we'd be. 50% to base defenses. Damage guard 30%. If there are 2 or more tagged DB battle members, own damage guard 20%. Wow. So they're just straight up giving him 50% damage guard on this. If you're running him with at least 1 more DB character. Inflicted damage 30%, base strike, base blast 50%. If there are 2 or more tagged DB battle members, own strike and blast attack 20%. That's pure 20% pure offenses from that. Slot 3 on enemy. Here we go. Yeah, on enemy Rising Rush activation, own sub counts -8. Perfect. That is. It could not be more perfect than this, because if you run him with the intended allies, which are the new Goku and new Gohan, they both have -1 to sub count for DB allies in their kit already. So this is just straight up -10 sub counts, essentially. Effectively is what this is. On strike / blast arts use, oh, there we go. Yeah. On strike / blast arts use, unique age plus 5%. Perfect. When indestructible ends, ally health plus 20%. Okay, he's healing the team. So the only thing they didn't give him is type neutral. Which is, I mean, they gave him what he needed the most, which is sub count manipulation. So that's really good. The other thing I didn't mention is I was kind of hoping they would give this guy something similar to an Android 13 ability where he seals enemy rising rushes when a team is afflicted with no switching. And the reason why is because the DB setup with this Goku plus the 2 40th anniversary characters, that team just gets slaughtered by Namek Goku. Namek Goku locks in the green Goku, locks in the red Gohan, and he just rushes you, and there's literally actually nothing you could do. It's just, you can't do anything. You just get rushed, you get ulted, whatever it is. So the Namek Goku lock-in is pretty bad versus this DB team, so it would have been nice if they had, like, again, I was thinking maybe the Android 13 ability where Namek Goku afflicts you with no switching and you just lock his rush, right? That would have been nice, but this is 50% damage guard is pretty crazy for this character. All right, let's just kind of add up what we're working with here. So if we go back here, character list, yellow, Kid Goku. So starter ability, he's got 150% damage guard, but then he's got 10% damage guard if you're running a DB ally. That's crazy. Or dude, trying to break the game here. So he's got 160% damage guard just from his starter ability. If you're running him next to the red Gohan, he's going to be at 170% because that Gohan gives 10% damage guard support from his starter ability. I am assuming this guy is at least going to be in the featured boost for PvP. Featured boost gives 10% more damage guard, so this guy's going to be at 180% damage guard from those. Don't forget the new feature. I can't open the PvP screen because it's in maintenance. The new featured boost system gives this guy at 14 stars, I believe it's 9% base stats and 9% HP, because he's an LF character who's also in featured boost. And his equip is giving 50% damage guard. So this guy's going to have 230% damage guard on top of having the insane DB equips. We might be in business. We might just be in business. The only issue this character is going to continue to have is this guy. I mean, if you guys have used this guy at all, you'll know this, or if you've watched my showcases on this character, you'll probably notice this as well. But this guy has some pretty big key problems. It's not surprising. I mean, you look at like most of the modern characters that we've gotten post 7th anniversary, a lot of them have ways of getting key mid combo. A lot of them are getting key every time they use a card, every time the enemy swaps are getting key. They're filling up unique gauges to get key. This guy is, I think, going to continue to struggle for key a lot of times. He does have this. Every time he lands a strike card, he's lowering his arts cost by 2, but that just isn't enough, I found, for this guy to really be able to combo efficiently. So we'll see, but I definitely think his unique equip looks very promising. More so than anything, I feel like his tankiness is going to be pretty crazy. So we will see what it feels to use this character. I'm also really intrigued to see how the purple VB Zenkai plays out. Let me know what you guys think of this week's update. We also have more manga volumes that we can farm, and I believe there's a new event also dropping that you can play. It's like a DB event or something, but it's like one of the story events. So let me know what you guys think. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next one.